Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast and my YouTube channel. And it just started raining, so if you hear any ambience, it is the rain. So today I'm doing something really new, and I am simultaneously recording myself on my podcast and on my YouTube channel. This is so that if it works out, so that every time there's some people who prefer visual podcasts, others audio podcasts, and I thought, hey, it's a way to keep my YouTube channel that I've been slacking on going. And so I've got this messy desk set up right now. This is my desk at its cleanest. One of the reasons why it's hard for me to make YouTube videos consistently is because it takes a lot of work to set up. And so I just thought, you know what, let me just film on my desk and see how it goes. It might go well, it might go bad. But shout out to all the regular listeners for my podcast, On the Road with D. If you're watching on my YouTube channel and this is your first time finding out that I've got a podcast, well, welcome. I hope that you like it. And I've got a small podcast set up that I'm going to insert a little clip of in the YouTube for those of you who are watching from the YouTube. And I've been trying to figure out how do I use my mic with my mobile devices instead of like editing on my laptop and everything, which tends to be a lot of work. And so welcome back to the podcast. And today's podcast is something I've been thinking about for a while. I really just haven't been able to record because I had my wisdom tooth removed recently, but I really wanted to talk about this, and that is facing one's vices. And lately I've been in situations where I've had to face my own vices, tracking back, I've been doing a lot of self-work like most people have, therapy and every other self-care tools that are available to us these days, online and otherwise. I've been using all of those things as a way to, touch base with myself, get better, improve myself, be a better human being for myself and for the world. And all of that has been good because, it forces you to look at oneself in a way that you wouldn't before. And in the past 3 years, it's involved a lot of me looking at myself and embracing myself and a lot of my strengths and my virtues and tapping into all of those things. And it's been incredible. I am able to affirm myself and be like, yo, you are strong, you is smart, you is beautiful, you is all of those beautiful things that come with therapy and come with self-work. But oh man, lately I've been discovering a new part of self-work. I had been in situations where for the first time in my life I started to see some of the vices that I have. And in the past, and not that I thought I never had vices before, I'm by no means perfect, even I know that, but the way in which I've always thought of vices is simple. I've always thought everything that is my virtue can be a vice, and so everything in its extremity can be a vice. And so if I am very good at creating space for people to express themselves and where they're at emotionally and all of those things, it could be over by, and a virtue could turn into a vice. That kind of virtue could turn into a vice by just becoming something that makes me always want to be the savior in people's lives, and I can be that person. So that's how I've always looked at my vices, that, every good thing I have, flip it upside down, it's a bad thing, and so I always have to watch that. But this time around, I've been starting to see my real vices, like things that are like non-redeemable qualities, if I can call them that, although there's no non-redeeming quality, I believe. But there are things that I look at and I'm like, that is not a good thing. I want to put an end to that. I want to, nip it in the bud, as the saying goes. And I haven't known fully what to do with that, because I think it's the first time I've been able to face myself and be like, yo girl, like, you see that tendency, if you continue to nurture it, perhaps as you have your entire life until you've become self-aware, it's not a good thing to have. It's something that you have to, practice and kind of like, level it out and be aware of. And I guess that's what self-awareness does to you. Like, you become aware. I used to think that self-awareness means you become aware of only the positive side or whatever. But I'm realizing that it also means you become aware of your negative sides. And that is not fun, guys. Like looking yourself in the mirror and having to have really those hard conversations with yourself. I've been having to have hard conversations myself and be like, hey, no, not that. Like, for example, I think I should give an example. I'm a big procrastinator, like many of us are. And I, in college, always used to believe I work well under pressure, as most of us do, which is not true, you know. And as I've gotten older, I've realized I can't do life and I can't show up in life with the same mentality of I work well under pressure. I've had to come to terms with the fact that my procrastination does not serve me in this season. And in the past, because it seemed to have served me, but it actually didn't. In times where I did really, really well, I've been forced to confront the fact that I could have done better if I put myself in more and put more effort in the thing that I used a shortcut to do. You know, and I love shortcuts, but I'm learning the hard way that you can't take a shortcut on everything in life. There's some things you have to apply yourself fully, especially as you get older and your time becomes limited. I'm learning that for me to actually maximize my time well across all the things I want to do, it's only gonna work if I actually stop procrastinating. And I've had to face this part of myself and how much it's robbed opportunities away from me. You know, there's times where I've realized, I want to give this thing a shot, and I'm thinking, that's gonna be easy. And then I wake up and realize the requirements were so much more than I thought because I didn't apply myself fully. I didn't fully focus on this thing. And now I've missed out on a great opportunity simply because I did a disservice to myself. See, I'm starting to look at now this thing that I thought it's a virtue. I'm able to work well under pressure, to be like, hey, procrastination might actually be a vice that I have to face. And the reason I actually think it's a vice that I have to face is because as I've been thinking more about it, I've had to ask myself, what is the reason that I feel the need to procrastinate? You know, what are some of the fears that procrastination has revealed in me? Some of the insecurities, you know, and the one thing that has robbed me from pursuing things fully, at the end of the day, procrastination has just been me hiding from my insecurities, hiding from my fears. You know, the fear of what if I actually give it everything and I fail? And so I have to face the fact that I failed at this. You know, does that mean I'm not good enough? Does that mean I did something wrong? And all the things that you have to process when you fail. But if I never did it, then I don't have to process that because I didn't fail. So I don't have to process my fear of failure. And fear of failure is actually something I actually spent a lot of time in therapy working through and trying to figure out where that comes from. But another insecurity is I have been forced to look at my own tendency to procrastinate and see what other insecurities it could be bringing up. Besides fear of failure, I think a lot of things that I do and don't do, a lot of my vices actually comes from that root of fearing failure and how much of a crippling thing that has been. But also, you look at procrastination and sometimes the fact that what happens if it works out, right? Like sometimes I fear the future so much. I hope somebody else can relate. But sometimes we fear the future and what happens if this works out. Then that means you have to make difficult choices and difficult things and all these things, and life becomes complicated. And you're like, you know what? This is stressing me out and causing me so much anxiety that maybe I should just not do it and my life stays the same. And yes, I am hearing how toxic that sounds, and it's the very reason why I've had to face those vices and see that at the end of it all, it's layered, right? It's never just one thing. It's never just, why do I want people's approval so much? You know, if you find yourself always going above and beyond to get people's attention and approval, it's not just that you're an attention seeker. It is, you have to get to the root of, why am I an attention seeker? What need am I trying to satisfy? And all those things. And things like that are hard conversations to have with oneself. And I've realized that it is so much more easier for me to ignore that than to actually do it. But future me, if I am truly going to be the person that I want to be, somebody who fiercely pursues their dreams, somebody who lives their life to the utmost and, does everything in their power to pursue all their potential and unpack it all, then I cannot let the fear of failure that is masking itself through procrastination and self-sabotaging ways to dictate my life anymore. I actually need to start making decisions and say, hey, all those qualities you're seeing in yourself that are not good, what can you do to counter that and actually work on that so that they're not screwing up your life as they have. And so I am in this weird season, I don't know if anyone else can relate, to start to see your own vices and start to see your own sides and start to think, damn, I really need to do something about that. And this is, for me, is coming from a big place because I am a recovering self-righteous person. And so it has taken me so long to start to see that I am not all that I crank myself up to be, that I have flaws just like everybody else. Again, as a recovering self-righteous person, I now see how self-righteous to think that your flaws are not like another person's. But I am learning that I am just a flawed human being who also has inner work. Doesn't just mean perfecting the things about you that are already good. It also means working on the things in you that are not so great and trying to better yourself in that way. And it's a lifelong journey. I think it's not just something that I can set a goal and be like, in the next month I want to kill procrastination, but I'm starting to see the damage things like procrastination, and my list of vices is growing every day, and I'm starting to see how much damage it has done to my life and how much I just don't want it to do damage anymore. And I think that is a step towards healing and me becoming a better version of myself, because I do owe it to myself to become that person, the kind of person that I kind of picture myself being. And at the same time, I'm learning that the more I see my own vices, the more I have to give grace to myself, because I have a tendency to also magnify all these flaws and all my mistakes to the point that it kills me. That's another vice. But the more I focus on my vice, I shouldn't do it obsessively so much so that it becomes crippling and makes me feel like I am trash. But rather, I should have that in a healthy way, but also show myself grace in a healthy way, and a balance of grace as I see my vices. And grace is also, I think, what gives me the permission to change. Just knowing that, yes, I might not be perfect, but we'll keep working on it. We'll keep working on it until we're better, not until we're perfect. I mean, perfection is never the goal. And so I don't know if anyone can relate. Have you ever seen your own vices? If you have you shared those with people? Or have you even asked other people and been like, hey, do you think I do this? And they're like, yeah. Or do you just do that inner work by yourself? And if you feel comfortable, please share with me in my comment section or in the podcast if you're listening on a podcast platform that allows you to put comments, or you can tweet me at I am not a goddess, and let me know what are your vices. Do you have vices, or you're the saint that all of us should be learning from? And let me know, if you're watching from YouTube, what you think of the podcast being visual, and if you like that, and if you didn't too. I mean, give it a thumbs down if you didn't, and a thumbs up if you liked it. And for all those who are listening on the podcast and the audio, let me know if you went to YouTube to check it out, because that's what you like. But thank you for always listening and for always supporting my endeavors. Shout out to you. There's another dope podcast coming up soon, and I'm very excited about it. And yeah, thank you for listening. I don't want to take more of your time. You have a lovely day. Face your virtues, face your vices, show yourself grace, and celebrate your podcast. Celebrate your progress. That's what I'm trying to say. It's been real. It's been good, and I'm out.